All right. Good morning. Good afternoon. It's afternoon. Good afternoon. Um, I am not going to do a guided meditation this morning or this afternoon. I keep saying morning. I just wasn't guided to do that. Because but I encourage you and I suggest that you continue with your meditation. So I'm just going to go in with the message today and go from there. Yeah, I just want to make sure that was it because I was not guided. I was guided not, how can I say this? I was guided away from doing the meditation on live today, basically. I just had to do it alone. And so I'm going to go into the message. And the message today is outgrow this problem now. Outgrow this problem now. Outgrow this problem now. This is coming off of a quote by a very famous psychologist. I mean, this psychologist is like the psychologist of the decade or the last century, basically. It's like the most famous psychologist of the century. And his name is Dr. Carl Jung. So basically the title or the basis of this message is this quote for today. And the quote says, "You don't solve problems, but instead outgrow them." You don't solve problems, but instead outgrow them. All right, so I need to. Okay. You don't solve problems, instead outgrow them. You don't solve problems, instead you outgrow them. This is the basis for the message today. I don't really have any scriptures for the message, but if a scripture comes up, then of course I'll read it. I'll read into it. But the basis for this message today was this quote by Dr. Carl Jung. And again, it says, you don't outgrow problems. You don't solve. Let me read it. It says, you don't solve problems, but instead you outgrow them. You don't solve problems, but instead you outgrow them. This thing is going so slow. Okay. All right. So I'm probably pretty sure I'm going to be quoting him a lot because I studied him very heavily. Because not only is he a clinical psychologist, he's also one of the first to incorporate the metaphysical way of thinking into um, So I'm going to type this quote real quick. You don't solve problems. Instead, outgrow them. And again, that was Dr. Carl Jung. Yeah.
How?
I knew how to do it. My nails was wet last night though. But it's off now, okay?
I want to put my other phone case on.
Okay, I'll let you know when I'm finished. Okay, so yeah. All right, so you don't solve problems, but you outgrow them. And the title for my message is Outgrow This Problem Now. Now, I want to give an example. So just imagine that you're in a valley, or just, you're in a valley, and with valleys, there's highs and lows. So mountaintops and valley lows. So let's say you're in traffic and you're trying to get from one point to another point, but you're trying to maneuver through this traffic. There's so much traffic, it's very congested, and you just get frustrated because you're like, how do I get there in a certain amount of time? Or how do I just get there efficiently? That's like how it is when we're faced with a problem. We have this problem. We have a certain mindset while we're in this problem, and we just become so frustrated because we're trying to figure this problem out. We're trying to get some solutions. We're trying to just fix it. But at the same time, we are only looking at that portion of what the problem actually is. So just like in the vision that I was talking about, when you're in this valley and you have valley lows and mountain highs, maybe you just need to drive to the nearest mountaintop so that you can sit and view your 2 points, point 1, point 2, point A, point B, and see how you can get from point A to point B efficiently. That's the same way or similar how it is when we're faced with a problem that we're currently dealing with. You have to draw out from that problem and kind of scan the entire area of where that problem is located, because a problem is only one point. A problem is only one piece. There's other pieces to that puzzle. It's other pieces to the picture, other frames to the picture or to the movie or whatever. So I don't know if that was a good example or not, but the thing about getting to a higher viewpoint or vantage point is through meditation. And that's the simplest way I can put it. This is why I constantly suggest you meditate, even more than you pray. And I'm going to put it like that because I stand on this. This is one of the only things that I've been able to grab hold on to, and people I've come across have been able to see and experience the change that they have been looking for within my own family, within my own self. So, because I think I'm skipping over my lesson, my notes, but the thing is, meditation, daily meditation. I know that you pray daily. Great. Awesome. But meditation is like it's like an escalator. Okay, so a lot of people, will get on the escalator and they will walk up the escalator. But normally you get on the escalator, you stand on a step and you allow the escalator to elevate you. That's what meditation is, sort of. I'm not going to say that's what it is, but that's how I'm thinking about it right now. It's just kind of like taking this step and allowing yourself to be elevated through your spiritual guidance. So, what about those that get on the escalator and run up the escalator? Okay, so if you are to do that, if there's a purpose, they tell you not to do that. Because what if something happens? What if your shoelace gets caught? I mean, it can get caught standing still, but if everything is properly positioned with you, and you properly position yourself on this step, you're fine. But running up could possibly cause an accident out of your control. So I'm not saying I haven't done it, like literally, but I don't advise you to get on an escalator and run up the escalator. The point of the escalator is to get you where you're going with very little effort on your part, because you already have to walk around an entire mall. So they give you this right here to give you a little break from that walking, and they guide you to the next level as a courtesy. So when you meditate as a courtesy, you're guided to the next level of consciousness.
His thing from yesterday, because I didn't have one.
Good job. You're guided as a courtesy. And there is nothing you actually physically have to do other than take that step. And all that step is being still and being quiet. I mean, I know there's more than one, but just be. You don't have to move. You don't have to think. Allow thoughts to just gravitate towards you. Because when you struggle and you resist, it causes fear sometimes. It just causes uneasiness. And I know what I'm talking about because I've experienced this. And even as you become seasoned, there are going to be times that you experience different things, because you're going to be constantly gravitating to the next level or being elevated to the next level. Especially those times you're being elevated to the next level, because there's a shift, and in that shift is so much like, and you might be trying to fight it because you've gotten comfortable to where you are, and it's like, of course we want to elevate, but at the same time, it's an uncomfortability in that shifting, and it's like, oh, am I even ready for this? Is it even time? Like, there's so much going on now when you just need to flow with it. And I'm talking to myself as well. We just need to flow with it, because any shift in any elevating of your consciousness is always good for you. Now, there are levels of responsibility that comes along with this, but it's still up to you to stay there. I believe once you get to a certain level, there's no coming back from it. Like, you can choose to do whatever, but you're now made aware of these things, and that's that. Your awareness is there. If God forbid something happens traumatically that you lose your mind, you know what I'm saying? And like, all awareness leaves you. But once you've shifted to that next level, that higher level, you're aware now. You're going to always be aware of this. Whether you act like you don't see certain things or hear certain things or know or feel or whatever, you're still become aware, and you're still responsible for that level of awareness that you've reached. So I think I kind of shifted all over my notes. So I'm going to go back to the beginning. But I wanted to say that. So going back to his quote, where you don't solve problems, you instead outgrow them. Let's see. So, like I said, every time you meditate, you raise your consciousness. It's kind of like taking a peek into more and more of the awareness that's within you, bringing it up to the surface and allowing you to have insight on that level. So it's kind of like going every time you meditate, it's like conditioning your body when you exercise. Every time you do this exercise, it gets easier for you to do. Your body don't At first your body might hurt and be sore, but as you continue to go, your body will become used to it and be conditioned to that exercise to where you can get up and do it with no pain, easy effort. That's like meditation. You'll be able to do that meditation whenever you need to. You'll learn how to do, you'll learn that things you've already been doing is actually meditation. Gardening, for example, that's a form of meditation. Writing is a form of meditation. There, meditation is not just sitting here, eyes closed. But I highly suggest this for most people. There are very few people, actually one person, that I've had to suggest them to meditate in another form because I'm not a clinical person. So all of this is just for self-educational purposes. But because this person has a how can I say a medical diagnosis, it's not as easy for them to sit still and go within. Just sit still for that moment. When we are in sessions, I do what I call buddy meditations. Only when we're in sessions, but when this person is going to themselves at their home, I've encouraged them and suggested that they meditate while washing their dishes. You can, but not anything dangerous. Make sure it's nothing, but basically, while you're doing something, you just center yourself and you just take in all of the, take your mind to the center and allow what to come to come. Now, if you have to do something that you got to be alert for, you got to be paying attention to, do that. Don't ever try to. But another thing that I like to suggest to those people who seem to just can't get it is for myself, I call this I call it a liquid meditation, but it's just a shower meditation. While you're in the shower or the tub, meditate. Allow your mind. A lot of people do this already and probably don't even realize that they're doing it, but it's called meditation. Allow your mind to go. Bring in those affirmations and just enjoy just being there. You can imagine yourself showering under a waterfall. You can imagine yourself laying in the beach in the ocean. So those are only ways. I've only suggested this to one person. These are things that I do, but I've only done in my advanced stage. So, but more importantly, I would encourage a lot more people to take the time to sit and go within so that they can meditate and receive. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And receive what they need to receive. All the way. So yeah, each time you meditate, you raise your consciousness a bit. So basically, when you're in meditation, so your mindset is at one level. This is where you operate on a day-to-day. When you meditate, your mind or the consciousness of you is always higher than your normal day-to-day mindset, until your higher mind becomes your normal day-to-day mindset, to where that's what's guiding you. Normally, we're guided by our ego cells, and some people are guided by that third body, which is their shadow, basically their shadow cells. The higher self should, okay, so put it like this: your shadow self and your ego self both desire or fight against following the higher self of you. And the higher part of you is your God mind. This is why it's very important to stay in tune with the God mind or the higher self, because this part of you sees at that mountaintop. This part of you has that vantage So when we're in our ego or we're operating through our shadow part, we only see that small picture. We only see the traffic that surrounds us. But when we move outside of that and elevate into our higher mind or the God mind, we see the bigger picture because God sees the bigger picture. God knows the bigger picture. So why not connect to the source that sees and knows all, so that we'll have that information and we can then, I'm skipping again, but we can then do what needs to be done, make the decisions that we need to make to completely remove that problem from our lives. This is what it's saying about outgrowing your problem. And you can do that immediately by changing your mindset. Change the way you're looking at it, change the way you're thinking about it, change the way you speak on it. That's how the problem or the issue is going to go away. But while you're in this problem, the same mind that created the problem cannot solve the problem or cannot outgrow the problem because you're limiting your mind to this problem. But once you outgrow this problem and move into a higher vantage point, okay, you're bigger than that problem now, and you can see what decisions you need to make around it to completely remove that problem from your path. I pray that made sense. I didn't write that down, but it just came. So, but this is what I do have in my notes. Through the daily practice of meditation, you keep your mind at a higher level of consciousness, higher than your conscious mortal level, where the mental equivalent of the problem was born and continues to exist. That's basically what I just said. By rising into higher consciousness in meditation, you rise to a higher mental perspective where you can more readily see what has been done. So basically, when you rise to a higher consciousness, you'll be able to see, number one, you can be able to see what caused the problem. And normally, when we see what caused the thing, we'll know how to solve it or get out of it or fix it. But if you don't even know, especially because a lot of the problems we have, I'm not going to say a lot, some of the problems we have aren't even our problems. It's problems that we take on because of the connections that we have. So if you can elevate a bit and then see the source or pinpoint where this problem originates, you can be like, sometimes I don't even have to deal with that. Oh, I know how to get rid of this now. But while you're in it, you're so saturated in what's going on and what you're probably being told about a problem that's where the frustration and the confusion and the fear and all of this other anxiety and all of this other stuff come from, because this is huge. This is it's like right here. This is huge in my face. But when I zoom out, I can see everything else that's surrounding, and I'm like, oh, okay. Now I see that this is the best thing for me, or I see that this is something I need to put away and I don't need to deal with because I need to go to the next thing. It's kind of like that. It gives you a different perspective, and it is a higher perspective, because when you zoom out on something, it's like zooming in on a house or something in a picture. But when you zoom out, you see the whole entire neighborhood or community or ins and outs of that community. So yeah. So by rising into higher consciousness in meditation, you rise to a higher mental perspective where you can more readily see what has been done or what change has to be made to remove the problem from your experience. And it's just like the example I gave you about being in the valley and going to a mountain top to scan and map out how you can maneuver from this point to that point, instead of being congested in the traffic and frustrated about, how do I get through this? I can't get through this. This is getting to me. That's how. And your higher mind is your God mind. And your God mind is the God centered part of you. So your higher mind is your God mind, and your God mind is the God centered part of you. God centered part of you that you have to allow to guide you in your everyday, your every moment, in all of your decisions, no matter how big or how small you may look at them. Because then you can say, through my God mind, you can now see the bigger picture. You can now have a new perspective or a larger perspective that allows you to outgrow the small picture. Because you see that there's more. That's like saying growing up in a small town, you got to get out of here because there's more to see. There's more to the picture of life than that area in which you were born and raised. Is going to a higher level, spreading out your playing field. It moves your mind from one level to the next. And you have to continue going until you reach the point. There are souls out here that reach that point of ascended master. That's when there's nothing but light. We, us, these beings, we are a balance of that light and that dark, that bright and that dull. That shadow part of us, it doesn't go anywhere. We don't become all this holy, all good person. That shadow part of you is a part of you. That's a part you have to accept. And a lot of people don't want to accept it. They try to push it down or kill it. You can't, if you kill a part of you, how are you going to actually be able to live a fulfilling life? You have to accept all of you, but you have to bring that shadow part of you into subjection. And you bring it into subjection of not yourself, but your higher self, the God part of you, the God center of you. That this is also called doing shadow work. This is also called healing your inner child. Because if not, then that part of you is going to continue to grow until it outgrows you. And that's when these people become out of control and deemed as demons or possessed or evil, because they have allowed these hurts and these pains to consume them. And now the shadow part of them is basically their aura, is taking over their physical body and is taking over their spiritual body. And there's a whole lot more work to do, to go into when that it comes to that. This is why it's important to release your emotions. This is why it's important to understand forgiveness. This is why it's important to be open and be receptive and be vulnerable, because in vulnerability, this shadow part of you will take that as a power hold on you. This is also what's called in the Christian community breaking the chains, or being released from bondage, breaking the yoke. That yoke is your shadow self. That shadow self, of course, wants to be in control. Of course, it wants to run everything. But that's not what it's there for. It's there to add balance to who you are. It's there to allow you to center yourself and not, the in between is not balanced. It's like you're this way and then you're that way. You're rocking back and forth. But when you're balanced, you understand and you accept all of you. You accept this part of you as well as you accept this part of you. And there's your light and your dark. And you allow yourself to be guided through your higher mind, through your spiritual body, instead of your ego, your physical body, because your physical body is only here to enjoy. I'm not going to say only. Your physical body is here to enjoy and experience. Your spiritual body is here on a purpose, on a mission. This is why more people would rather be entertained, because our flesh wants to feel good, or our flesh wants, it's where sometimes we're made to believe we have to be chastised and we need this infliction, when okay, that's fine, but it's still something you have to experience or something you have to enjoy. Our spiritual bodies don't cry. Our spiritual bodies don't feel, they sense. They have a sensing. Our spiritual bodies um don't like nothing. It's our physical bodies. We want to dance, we want to cry, we want to scream, we want to laugh. We are given this body to enjoy this life and to enjoy the luxuries of life. Without this physical body, you're a light, you're an energy. Just as crystals, the crystals that we hold on to, that we dearly hold on to, they were sent here. They are light beings sent here crystallized to assist us in things that we go along to do. Just as our physical bodies have spirits, they're divas with plants. They're, you know, there's so many different beings placed inside of all types of creation. I'm getting off of the topic. So listen, when you're caught up in emotion, when you are confused about a problem, it's very hard to have a clarity about what's going on. So you find yourself, thinking, and the thinking only comes from a small fragment of what you should be considering before you make a decision on what to do about this problem, on how to deal with this problem. Now, it's easy to go in the direction of just something like, okay, you hurt me, so I'm just not going to talk to you for 3 days, but then I'll call you whenever. But that's like putting a Band-Aid on your wrist getting cut off. You just like, oh, let me just put a Band-Aid on here. That's not going to work. So, because it's like, I like my hand. Okay, so it's like those people that I like my hand, but my hand does things it shouldn't be doing. So I'm going to cut. I can't even think of it, but it's like putting my Band-Aid on a large wound, because, it's like a situation that is harmful, but you didn't want to let it go. So you try to remedy it a little bit in hopes that it's going to get better, because at least I'm trying to show that I'm not going to put up with this, but I don't want to let this go. It's like that, because you only see this small picture. You only see this right here instead of the bigger picture. But when you get into the bigger picture and you see maybe 3 weeks on in, 3 months on in, something larger is going to happen, you can think to yourself, look, I can avoid that. I don't even want to go there. So then you'll know, okay, let me push this little teeny piece out the way, because this is going to grow into something larger. And that's not something I can afford to deal with. Then you get rid of this, and you relieve yourself of that. This is already a problem. But listen, when you see the bigger picture, or you see, let's say if it's something worse or even something better, you can make your decision then, instead of focusing on this small thing and trying to remedy it. What you looking for? For what? You're not going nowhere today. Today's Sunday. You can take a bath, but change your underclothes. Right. So, but get out of here and don't mess in this because Nia just brought them clean clothes in here. Go sit down.
Give me some clothes.
Go sit down.
I got to take a bath off.
Okay. You're gonna learn how to wash clothes this week. That's gonna be your job, your thing to learn this week.
So what?
Bye. So, God, universal mind, sees the whole picture, sees the greater picture of everything you're dealing with, even right now, with whatever situation you're dealing with, whatever problem that seems to be a problem. God sees, God knows the bigger picture. And the bigger picture involves not just that temporary thing or your the little temporary thing you try to put on there to kind of remedy this problem, but he sees and knows the permanent resolution. So you take into account what would benefit you the most. This temporary remedy, a band-aid that has to be thrown away eventually, or a permanent resolution that's going to allow you to move into a better place within yourself and within your life. So now God wants you to move on from this. God doesn't want you to be stuck in this situation or dealing with this thing or stuck in the mindset that caused this, because if your mindset caused this one problem, that same mindset can cause another problem, and then another problem, and then another problem. So God wants you to awaken spiritually and tap into your potential, all of your potential.
How old are you now?
Nia,
5.
Yeah, go sit down. I heard what your papa said. Go sit down. 5, 4, 3,
I need something.
2. This is why God has it so that you are to be guided and directed into what you do, into the choices you make. This is why it's set up that way. This is why you have a spiritual body. This is why you have a higher self, because although we're here to enjoy things, there's also a part and energy in the world who is a huge influencer of things that are not so positive and not so healthy for the life that we're here to live. So we have a higher mind that only focuses on advancing us. But there's an energy that focuses on pulling us down, keeping us in shame, and just having us in situations that instead of enjoying this experience, the experiences we have are detrimental. And so because both of these energies are here and we have to experience these, we have a physical body, but we also have a spiritual body and a shadow body, because that represents the energies within this world. So are we meant to be tempted? We have a choice, because there are things in this world that are this way, and there are things in this world that are that way. You can take this and that to put it however you want to put it. You can put good and evil, put right and wrong. You can put whatever in this and that as you want. But I'm saying some things are this way and some things are that way, and we are in the center and we have a choice as to what we want to experience, because certain things that feel good to me don't feel good to you, and things that you enjoy I'm not going to enjoy. But that's the beauty. You have a choice to experience those things that you enjoy, and I have a choice to do exactly what I want to do that makes me happy. um but we all have intuitive guidance. All of us may not be aware of this guidance, but we all have a spiritual self, a higher self within us all, no matter who we are, no matter how old we are. I just explained to my son the other day about his internal guidance and why right now I'm his outside guidance until he is able to choose to follow his internal guidance. And the situation that I broke down to him is like, and to my other kids, because they were listening in by this time. But I was saying with children, people are constantly handing children sugar, candy, fruit juices, and all of this and that. And these things keep these kids hyped. And when you're hyped, when you're high in emotion, you tend to follow your I don't want to say feelings. It's you tend to follow your, what is it? You just intend to follow what's fun, what's exciting. Like, yeah. And you push your spiritual guidance, your internal guidance to the side, because like I tell him, like he rides his bike and I tell him to go to the stop sign and come back. But he sometimes will go on the other road to his friend's house that be outside at times. And I'm telling him, look, until you are able to use your own internal guidance, you have to follow my guidance. And my guidance sees the bigger picture, basically. And I'm telling you to go to that stop sign and come back. Now, and I explained it to him like this. Even though your friends are outside and I'm telling you to go to the stop sign and back, and you do that for, let's say, a year strong, you pay attention to what I'm telling you to do. Then I'm like, you know what? You can ride to your friend's house and back. Probably not a year, but that's just an example. Because his internal guidance said, your mom gave you these boundaries. We're going to stay in these boundaries. Now I've given him more reign, more room. But he will follow his, I want to have fun. And oh, my friends out there, I don't really care what my mama say. He's pushing his spiritual guidance, because that spiritual guidance is going to put him in a situation where, oh, this is what you were told to do. You're a child. This person is over you. You have to listen and do what they tell you to do, because you don't know what's outside of those boundaries. And he goes to his friend's house and I have to constantly bring him back in, because he's not exercising his spiritual guidance enough to be able to utilize this consciously or purposely. All he wants to do is feel good and have fun. And I know for myself anyways, sugar suppresses the ability to be open to that spiritual insight. And it's more than sugar. A lot of other things do that. Alcohol, so many more things suppress your ability. Physically, it's called the hardening of your pineal gland. So when that calcifies, it's kind of closed, it's blocked. Until you get into the detoxification and decalcifying that physical aspect, can you spiritually become more aware and more open. So it's like that. It's like we as adults want to be entertained so bad, or we just want to feel good so bad, or we just want to hurt so bad, that we're not allowing our spiritual bodies to make moves on our behalf and to bring to us the things that we truly and actually desire. and what we're truly and actually possess. So this is why sitting still, this is why a lot of the times why kids don't like to sit still, because it puts them in a position to where their spirit, because your spiritual body does its most work when you're still. Your spiritual body does its most work. It's very busy. And it's not a busybody. Our physical bodies are busybodies. Our physical bodies need to get up and jump around. Our physical bodies need to shout and scream. Our physical bodies want to cry and laugh. Our physical bodies want to do these things. Our spiritual bodies have a work to do, has actual work to do. And you can allow your spiritual body to guide your physical body, or you can allow your spiritual body to kind of tug. I don't really think it'll tug gently. I don't think a lot of the times it's going to actually tug you unless it calls for that. But it's like saying, I remember in the church where it says God is a gentleman. He's not going to force you. It's kind of like that. There are some situations, I believe, where people may have been forced, but as far as the majority, our power is our choice. We have a power to choose, and we can choose to sit our physical bodies down, to work on our inner child, to do that shadow work, and to bring these two under subjection to the higher self, or we can run amok and pretend to be holy instead of actually being holy. We can put on the face every weekend and then do whatever we feel like we need to do because I'm saved. I don't even want to get into that concept because that's not even a part of who I am anymore. But the mindset that I'm saved, so whatever I do is forgiven. Whatever you do is your choice, and you chose to do it. You did it on purpose. You intentionally did it. You consciously made a choice to do what you wanted to do. But there's nothing wrong with that. And that's what people need to realize and come to the awareness of. There is nothing wrong with choosing whatever it is you chose to do. It was your choice. The Bible even says that all things work together for the good. So why are you now denouncing certain things? Why are you trying to kill your flesh, doing all of this and that, wearing your body out, severing connections that are probably beneficial for you? It's like you have the power to choose. It's your choice. It's your power. It's in your control. The things out of your control, you have nothing to do with. So that's nothing to stress over. But getting up, choosing what you want to wear instead of letting somebody else dictate these things, choosing how you want to live and letting instead of allowing somebody else to dictate these things, that comes with your power. You are able to choose these things. There are some things you just can't choose. No matter how hard you want it or how hard you try, you can want that, but just if it's not yours, it's just not yours. But if it is, I promise you, it's going to come to you. And you normally, and sometimes you might not even be thinking about it, because you might want something, but then the very thing that comes to you is actually what it is you truly have been wanting, but didn't realize it because you didn't take the time to go within. You were asking for something that's specific. And I know this also well. I've experienced getting the very thing that I've asked for, only to realize this is not what I wanted. This ain't what I wanted. Nah, I don't want this no more. But then I was made to feel like I'm stuck. Oh, you got to deal with this now because this is what you want. No, you don't. You can want something and not want it at another time because I did not take the time to truly go within. All I did was prayed and asked. Prayed and asked. And trust me, you get the things you ask for. Yeah, You get the things you ask for because you asked. It is true. Ask and you shall receive. But when you think you know, you don't know until you do know. And I didn't know until I knew. And now that I know, I don't ask for anything. I don't ask for anything. Everything I need at this moment, I have. Whatever I'm going to need on tomorrow, I'm going to have. And if I don't have it, then obviously I didn't need it. I can't force or change any situation that's out of my control. If something belongs to you, it belongs to you. I can't do anything about it. But I can go within and allow the evolution of that situation, of that individual, to be brought to be emerged, brought to my awareness, revealed, answered, so to speak. That way I'll know. And if I'm the only one that knows, then I'll just keep that knowing. Because we are connected to the mind of God, and the mind of God is universal, it'll be revealed to those who take the time to go within as well and to connect and maintain a connection to the mind of God. Let me make sure, because I said this was going to be shorter, but it's not. So this is a realization or a recognition. It says, I recognize that all problems in my life are a result of my personal ego will. I turn my body over. I turn my mind over and my soul to the God's higher will, which raises me above problems in my consciousness and my life. So, because your ego, because your flesh, because you want to have fun, you want to be entertained, if it's not loud, it's not worth it. Because of this, problems arise. And because of that, we have to allow God to basically, what is it called? Order our steps. Meaning connecting to his mind directly so that we can grab the guidance we need. This conversation has nothing to do with your physical body. Very little to do with your physical. This conversation here, this connection has very little to do with your physical body. Your spiritual body is the centered part of who you are. Is it center part? No. You're living a God-centered life. So your spiritual body is your higher self. Yes. To center yourself, you have to center your ego. I have been asking throughout my studies, what do you do with your ego? Because I've heard, you kill ego, you kill your flesh. And I'm like, do you really kill your flesh? Should I? And, I've been studying on that. And now I'm realizing you don't kill, you just center your flesh. Your flesh is what has to be centered. Much appreciation. Your flesh is the centered part of you. Your flesh is the God-centered part of you. Because with this centered part of you, your flesh makes the decision to follow your higher mind or your shadow self. So this flesh has to be centered. So that's what it is. Now I see what bringing your flesh under subjection is. You have to bring your flesh under subjection either to your higher self or your lower self. Oh man, that's the balance. you know what? It's amazing how I ask questions. And I know, it's going to come or while it's coming, but to just grab that revelation live and in person. This is why I like to have conversations with people, because I learn so much. Even if it's just me talking right now, I'm open to listening. But just to learn from somebody else is amazing. But just to have that revelation, and even when I was wrong, I can correct myself and say, okay, no, it's not that. It's you. Your flesh has to be centered. Your flesh lives a God-centered life, because your flesh is to choose to focus on the God parts. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That made my day. Wow. So, it can appear your problems are really taking a reign, but all you have to do is just center yourself. All you have to do is center yourself. All you have to do is center yourself. Yesterday, I was talking to one of my children, and the way I was talking like this, and she was like, "Why are you whispering?" I was like, "I'm not whispering." I said, "This is whispering right here." She was like, "Okay." I said, "This is normal." I said, "This is normal right here." And I've had to learn this. Um, because I gave her the example. I said, "Have you ever just heard your name, you know, and nobody's calling it? How does it sound?" And she was like, "It was just like Michaela, Michaela." I said, "Is it like is it Angel? Is it like that, or is it like Angel?" And she was like, "Yeah." I said, "Because that's how they teach you that God, when the voice of God or the Holy Spirit comes to you, is not a demanding or loud voice. It's just a normal tone. It's not really a whisper. It's just a normal tone, getting your attention. Because you're this is why it's best to be quiet, because it's not going to overpower these other things. These things on the outside of us are loud for a reason. It's because we're activated with our physical senses. And this is what we enjoy. Oh, that sounds good. Oh, that feel good. Oh, that looks good. Spiritual body has nothing to do with those things. Our physical body wants those aspects of life. So our spiritual body has no reason to get loud, to be extravagant and colorful and make themselves up, because it's very noticeable when it comes. Very noticeable. I said plenty of times I heard my name and went through the house like, "Y'all, did you call me? Did you call me? Did you call me?" But it caught my attention. But somebody can be in there screaming, you know, and I'm just like, "Oh my gosh." Mama. But I think another thing also, I want to mention this. Let me read through here. But I think a lot of the times with problems that people are seeing, it stems from the past. And it's not stems from the past, but it stems from not releasing some things that are past or past tense. And so to refuse to hold on to that and all the influences of the past, that contribute to the present problems, because they do, that's an actual contribution to your resolution of your bigger problem. To release the past and grow into a higher consciousness, to connect with the God within you, that it will take you from that problem consciously and put you into more of a positive awareness. So if you hold on to this past, know that you're holding on to a lowered state of mind. And if you maintain a negative memory then of course it's going to affect your presence. But if you can maintain these positive memories, these positive thoughts, these loving experiences, then life will be more positive and be more open and shine brighter than what you're experiencing right now. But you have to have a true release. You have to have a true release. A lot of the times people will say, okay, I'm gonna let that go, I forgive you, don't worry about it. But they haven't truly released it, because they're like, and you know what so and so did this and that, and it's like, I thought you said you forgave them. God, I did, but come on now, you know what I'm saying? That's like, you still, I just don't trust them no more. No, you haven't truly released it. And it's okay. There's a process. Everybody has their own process to go through things and to deal with things. But you have to have a true release and find yourself lifted and raised to a higher state of consciousness, a higher state of mind, your God mind, closer to where those problems don't even exist. Because as the higher you go, those problems will be null and void. You'll be like, somebody might bring something, but you'll be like, what? Hold up, what now? Oh, wow. Well, you know what? So and so was going through, and it's okay. Everybody, deals with this and deals with that. And that's why they'll be looking at you like, what? That's a true release. It doesn't affect your present. When and if you can think about something and have compassion for that person, maybe that person put you in a situation or did something to you, and you can think back and be like, okay, well, I understand this and that. That's a true release. That is not affecting your life right now. And you bring in an awareness of new opportunities, more positive opportunities. Now, meditating daily also brings in this intuitive guidance that I was talking about, and it flows even more frequently into your conscious level of thinking. And this causes your mind to grow and to expand, and then therefore outgrow your problem. Like I said, that problem will be so far behind you or beneath you that you'll have a better understanding and an understanding of the root. Therefore, you can uproot it and release it, and it will no longer have any effect on you. This is what outgrowing your problem. This problem is now a true release. Put them books back on the bookshelf. A true release. To dig that root up, because it's been rooted in your life. It's been rooted into your experiences, but to dig it up and to release it. That's a true release. But God will do all the heavy lifting. All you have to do is connect and stay in connection, because God does the heavy lifting. But you have to consistently monitor your thoughts and your feelings, purposely, consciously, freely release emotional expressions. I know I don't say that enough. Freely release your emotional expressions. You have to. Building up those emotions within you will cause you to be heavy-ended on one side, and you're not going to allow yourself to be centered as you should. Because when you're heavy-ended on one side, you're into all into the chaos. You can pretend to be lovely and dress yourself up and and feel and look good on the outside, but on the inside, you're allowing you're just digging, you're just pushing everything down, everything that happened to you, pushing it on down, pushing it on down, pushing it on down. And this is going to overwhelm. And instead of outgrowing your problems are going to grow around you thicker and thicker. This is that shadow part of you getting bigger and bigger. And instead of outgrowing your problem will outgrow you. So, bringing in the guidance from your higher self will allow you to outgrow your problem now. You have to connect and you have to maintain connection and allowing your higher self to elevate you, just as an escalator does when we're at the mall. having a oneness with God in your awareness as you engage in your daily activity of meditation. You constantly grow powerfully, making the decision to allow yourself to be spiritually guided through your higher self. I'm going to end with a prayer. I can't believe I did not meditate and I still talk for an hour. But I'm going to end with a prayer. I'm going to set my phone here. And it says, I call forth into the presence of God within me. Almighty God, my creator, you cause my consciousness to rise above any problems in my life, both in the present and in the future. For this realization, I give appreciation. I let it be so, and so it is. You all have a wonderful week. I will be back tomorrow with METV. I'm going to continue the self-inventory check. I'm going to do that because I did not finish and get into some other things. So that's all for today's Sunday session. You have a wonderful Sunday afternoon and enjoy your week. Bye.